Would you like to know more?
Like many of you, I've been searching for the perfect home defense gun for years, never being completely satisfied with any one setup. Satisfied, yes, but never fully confident it was just absolutely the best option. So, what's...
The best! The best! The best!
Oh boy, I'm sure this won't generate any controversy or hate whatsoever. Oh, and before we even get started here, a bit of a disclaimer. So first off, every single point in this video could be talked about for hours and hours and hours, so just bear in mind you're getting the condensed version. Secondly, and very importantly, it is solely up to you to make sure that you're familiar with your defensive weapon to ensure that it's reliable and you know it works and how it works inside and out. I say this because out of the box, my personal choice flat out was not good enough and I had a hell of a time getting it where it needed to be. I don't care what it is that you end up using, don't just buy it and slap it in the corner without ever actually shooting it. Shoot it and shoot it and shoot it until you're comfortable with betting your life on it, and then shoot it some more. Disclaimer over. So I've personally gone through several different approaches to this problem. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, and even more exotic configurations. Now, many of you actually already know the secret of the perfect home defense gun. It's the one that you're the most familiar, comfortable, and proficient with. End of story. But let's try and factor that out for now and try looking at things from a less subjective standpoint. Also, I won't be talking about any NFA items, as their difficulty to obtain makes them unideal for most people. Not to mention any potential legal fallout, which probably won't, but could happen. I mean, hey, if you want to use your transferable Browning encampment, I'm not going to stop you. Also, it's worth noting that every single defensive firearm should have a light. Period. Oh, I won't need it, you might say. Well, what if you do? It's a crazy world where anything can happen, and being able to see, should your other means to do so disappear, can be invaluable. And if you don't end up needing it, well, even better. So, pistols. Pistols are a fantastic compromise for carrying around every day and have great maneuverability, but realistically, they leave a lot to be desired. Now, don't get me wrong, an untold number of people have met their end at the other end of the pistol. Hell, it was a pistol that started World War I, and from a certain perspective, it was one that ended World War II as well. But having said that, I would really recommend you watch the video I'm going to link to here, see why I personally agree with the saying that a handgun is what you use to fight your way to a long gun.
To prove my point, this is a video where this gentleman on the left gets shot twice. Bang, bang, and he runs away. He did not drop, he didn't even flinch. He just got shot. He gets bored too, so he gets up and he walks away.
The takeaway there is that common handgun rounds are just absolutely terrible at stopping a threat, at least quickly or reliably, without a hit to the central nervous system. Some people hit by them oftentimes don't even realize until later. Now, for home defense specifically, they do hold certain advantages, such as being easily controlled with one hand, being far more compact, more maneuverable, and far more lightweight. So if you value that above all else, one would definitely be a good fit. But, moving forward. Shotguns. Shotguns are flat out unbeatable in destructive force at point-blank ranges and are, no question, a great choice that's been doing the job just fine for well over a century. These days, your basic pump actions are incredibly affordable and reliable, so they win massive points for anyone on a budget as well. But they do have trade-offs. Your average shotgun suffers from a lower capacity, a longer profile, higher recoil, and by extension slower follow-up shots, and a slower reload time compared to a carbine. Now, of course, will any of that matter? Probably not, but it's something to consider. What if you miss? At home defense ranges, the spread isn't typically enough to compensate for poor aim. Unless, you know. And the buckets of adrenaline your body is going to be dumping will be throwing you for a serious loop. Again, will any of that matter? Probably not. And again, a shotgun would be a fantastic choice, but these are all things to consider. So moving on once again, rifles. Rifles have been a military standard for well over a century for a reason, and it's easy to see why. Any prolific, modern-ish rifle, from the AK to the FAL, would be a solid bet in its own right. But let's cut to the chase here and talk about the media's favorite, the AR-15. A basic AR-15 workhorse, which you can easily pick up for well under $500 these days, has nothing but good things going for it. They're accurate, reliable, high capacity, low recoil, semi-automatic, infinitely customizable, easy to aim, easy to shoot, and proven man-stoppers. And additionally, with home defense in mind, many common loads of 5.56 have markedly less overpenetration than other pistol and shotgun rounds through common housing materials, such as drywall, plaster, etc. Link to that in the data below. So the AR-15 has more than proven itself throughout the world and is easily a top contender for the perfect home defense gun. And to be fair, any other semi-automatic in 5.56 as well. But can we do better? After all, standard configuration long guns are, well, long. Now, you'll often hear that actual defensive situations aren't about slicing pies or playing the most dangerous game hide-and-seek edition rather than hunkering down behind a locked door and calling the police. It's good advice. You should take that advice. But what if that's not an option? Maybe little Billy is right down the hall and you caught a glimpse of a miter running by the window. Enter the bullpup. Bit of a controversial topic in the gun community, but hear me out. Bullpups, defined as having the magazine and action behind the trigger, are a game changer. At least when it comes to reducing length. Case in point, consider the Shockwave. This Title I non-NFA firearm uses a whole bunch of legal voodoo juju that basically lets it have a short barrel so long as the whole thing is over 26 inches. The KSG, a bullpup shotgun from Lelkek, is shorter, can be shouldered, holds 3 times the capacity, and has a full 18-inch barrel. And you also won't have to explain to the police how you're totally not a shotgun isn't actually illegal. So take that concept into consideration, then apply it to a 5.56 carbine with all the advantages of the AR-15 that we talked about earlier, and you end up with a massively effective tool in a small package. Now, bullpups do lag behind in a few key areas, like ease of clearing malfunctions, your reload speed, your trigger quality, 2 to 3 MOA accuracy, etc. But it's important to consider the context. If we were talking 3-gun, these will all be immensely important, but in a real-world application such as home defense, the differences arguably become negligible. Now, I could just end this here, since every single 5.56 bullpup out there is good to go, except you, MSAR. Since there aren't too many of them out on the market, let's go over them quickly. The FS2000. Fantastic rifle, but it suffers from being hard to find as it was discontinued and is very expensive, at typically over FS $2,000. The Steyr AUG. Great rifle, usually costs about $2,000. The FAMAS. $50,000. The Tavor. Also a great rifle, and would not be a poor choice. But again, suffers from a higher price tag at anywhere from $1,200 to $1,700. Noticing a trend here? Not very accessible for the everyman. Oh, and allegedly they've worked out the issues with the X95. I like the original Tavor though. The M17S. Let's just say that if you own one of these, or even know what they are, you don't need this video. So that brings us to our final stop, the Kel-Tec RDB. These are fully ambidextrous and surprisingly affordable. You'll see them online for around $800 all day long, if not less by now. But a lower price doesn't necessarily mean lower quality here. They're just as reliable in function, and I'd argue more ergonomic than the rest. There's currently a bit of contention as to their longevity, but this goes back to what I had mentioned earlier. It's up to you to see if it's reliable, and up to you to make that call. As a bonus, the downward ejection makes them a great host for rifle cannons. Bleed-off blowback and noise is directed downward as well, away from your face. With one attached, you've still got a very compact weapon that won't destroy your hearing or blind you if you need it in the middle of the night. But again, I'm not including NFA stuff, so it's just extra consideration. So all that being said, that's why the Kel-Tec RDB is my personal pick for the perfect home defense gun, period. Just kidding, it's still up. Fucking Kel-Tec. AR-15 wins again. Honorable mentions to the AR and AK pistols, and the Barrett 50.
FBI, open up!
Sid, come in. Don't stand there.
Hey people, welcome back to Enslate. There's really not much to talk about here, just need to give a super special thank you to all my supporters at Patreon for allowing me to live my decadent and degenerate lifestyle. You're all great. So, dear viewers, if you want to join in, coolio. You get basically nothing apart from sneak peeks and the occasional early access, so if you don't, hey, that's cool too. I mean, some of my patrons aren't even donating, just following along, and that's fine by me. I honestly value the support a lot more than I do a couple of dollars. So, as always, I'm still working on plenty of stuff. Probably saw a couple of sneak peeks in this video alone. The gunchucks are coming along, the E11. The E11 is done. There's actually a video out on that already, the build of it. The actual shooting video is still in the works. So until both of those are done, that's going to be patrons only, but it'll be out soon enough. Of course, a lot of you are waiting on the KS-23 build as well. That one's... it's basically done, just waiting on the shells. The wait time jumped from about 2 months to 4 months. We're right at the very end of that, so hopefully sometime soon that'll be done as well. Just a lot of things here are just at the very tail end, just wrapping up so many things. So stay tuned, there's a lot still coming down the pipeline. See ya!